Well, hello. I am here. And man, it's taken a lot for me just to even stream right now. This has not been the best 2 weeks. I have like pressure from finishing out this list of questions that I want to ask Steven. I've been just not wanting to be on the computer because I want to lay down. Also, I've been taking iron because I feel like what's that word? I'm iron deficient. And so I've been taking vitamins, which I never take vitamins. So I'm going to start taking vitamins. Anemic. Yes. Thank you. Because I've just, I don't know what's been going on. It sucked. It just sucks. So I've been on medication. Um, you know, just been on stuff to kind of help me get out of this funk, you know. I don't know, it's just I'm not used to it personally, because usually, like, I'm not a sickly person. Never been a sickly person. I've always been good. You know, there's like, I'll get sick maybe once a year, maybe once every 2 years. And when I get sick, I'll get like a fever, body aches, and I'll be like out of commission for like 2 days, 3 days max. And then I'll be fine. But I don't know. It's just, even my wife has been, like, what's going on? Like, are you okay? And I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't feel like 100%, you know? I don't. Like, it's like I want to be on the computer to like do stuff, but then I don't have like the motivation, or my head feels like a bowling ball and I just want to like lay down. So it's just, ugh, you know? So I feel okay today. Like I do. I actually surprisingly feel better. If I had to say, I'm at like 75% capacity, which is a lot better than I had been doing a couple of days. But you know, I wanted to stream. I really appreciate you guys being here, coming in and hanging out. I really don't know how long of a stream this one's going to be. But I did want to react to my boy Burns, because dude, I have not watched this freaking episode of the latest Bespoke, and I've been tempted so many times like to watch this stupid thing for like the last 5 days, and I have not freaking seen it. And you know, just show y'all some proof. It has not been clicked on. I was like, man, I've been wanting to freaking watch this stupid thing, but it's like, but I was like telling myself, I was like, oh, but Vlad, you got to freaking watch it, you know, on stream, you know what I mean? And it's just like, but it's like, I can't get on stream. I feel freaking weak. I feel like feverish, you know. It's just been rough, dude. Mag, dude, thank you so much for the sub, dude. Thank you. Now I did want, you know, before we get into the react, yeah, I've been hanging out with Psycho too much. If anybody doesn't know my boy Psycho from the GM of Suspect, he is sick like on a weekly basis. If there's anybody that I know who is more sick than anybody, it is my boy Psycho. But honestly, I think, you know, I think it's a couple of things. I was talking to my wife. My wife's a nurse practitioner, and she was just saying, baby, you need to start, you know, taking your iron, you need to take a multivitamin, you need to start like exercising, you just need to stop like doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like, you need to work out, you need to go and run, you know, do something. So I'm just like, I know I need to, like, I'm getting old. Like I'm gonna be 40, you know? Isn't that weird? Like, I'm 38, you know, I'm 2 years away from 40. It's just crazy to think about, but here I am, you know? So basically, like, what my goal is, so next week we have, on the 27th, we have the Alpha 2 guide, right? So they just announced today that the next live stream will be on the 27th. And let me see if I can find it on X. Oh yeah, that's the pinned one right here. Here we go. Right here. So they basically just announced that the next will feature an Alpha 2 guide, which I'm kind of at a loss for words here. Let me see. Wait, unsubscribe for being called old. No, I'm just saying, like, hey, I'm old. You know what I mean? Like, it's so weird. I have people that are like in their 20s that still talk to me, and how they refer to me as, like, you know, funny little quips and jabs and stuff like that. And it's just like, I remember being that age and thinking, man, I was always really excited to see, like, what is my life going to look like when I hit 40? I've always thought that. I've always actually been excited about the future, not dreading it or being depressed by it. That's just me. And now that I'm 2 years away from 40, I'm thinking where my life is now compared to when I was 30. And it's just wild, like where I was when I was 30 compared to where I am now at 37 or 38. So it's exciting. It's cool. Let me see, check out DDP Yoga and get a couple of those kettlebells from Walmart. Yeah, honestly, I need to start, because dude, I live in Texas. It is we're about to be in October, and it is still like over 100 degrees outside in the afternoon. It's ridiculous. We're like already supposed to be in fall, and it does not feel like fall. It still feels like the dead of freaking summer, and it's annoying. So, you know, me and my wife, we went to the park. We go on walks. Like, we try to go and do stuff, you know, during the day. And, you know, I push myself to do it. You know, like I need to go outside. I need a fresh air, oxygen, sunlight, you know, all that stuff. Workout streams win. Dude, you want to see some funny content? Me working out. That'd be freaking hilarious. Get a shake weight. I don't know. That might be fun. I really think about the future except retirement funds. I just think about how is today? I'm alive, breathing, eating some food. Life is good. Exactly. Yeah, it feels like summer in Houston here, but I prefer this over heavy rainfall. Dude, honestly, like I would prefer rain, because at least during the rain, it's not like, well, even in Texas, it could be raining outside with complete sun. Wild. I know, like only in Texas can you find it raining super hard and it's not overcast at all and the sun is still shining through. It's freaking wild. Do some squats or jumping jacks, channel point rewards too. Oh my God. Dude, Vale, that is actually a really good idea. That is actually a really good idea. I think that'd be fun. It'd be funny. I think for like, oh my God, maybe like 3,500. I don't know about 3,500, maybe 5,000 channel points. You can get me to do like, 10 jumping jacks or something like that. Late to the party. Are we avoiding the gym for some reason? No, I need to start going. I need to start doing some kind of thing. I need to get my body not feeling like shit, you know? Dude, one time I thought at my shift, workplace during a hurricane, barrel, until 5 minutes later outside heavy rain, and I got a message saying that I can take the day off, and while I was soaking wet everywhere. Dude, yeah, like I hate hurricane season here in Texas. I mean, especially on the coast. If you live at Houston, Corpus Christi, like it sucks, you know, especially because we're near the Gulf, you know, it's always really insane. Push-ups, planks. Okay, let's not get carried away here. Like, okay, I don't want to start doing a full-on workout and stuff like that. Let me see, put it on a 5-minute cooldown. 5,000 for 10 jumping jacks. 1,000 for 10. Put on a 5-minute cooldown. Nah, that stuff will still be abused pretty well. I know some of you guys have racked up some insane channel points. If you can't find accountability partner, there's apps for that. Well, yeah. Well, I think honestly, I do think that's a good idea though. Like to actually, you know, and you know, I can basically like have like a little meter of like, okay, you know, I'll have to do like 60 jumping jacks in this like at the end of my stream, right? So I could just knock it out. But that's not getting carried. That's holding yourself accountable to getting healthier. You're not wrong. And we were there to help you. Like I said, you're not wrong. I guess it's just, you know, I'm trying to think what would be like a good amount. But yeah, anyway, going back to this, I really don't know what to make of this Alpha 2 guide. Not saying I'm disappointed by it. I don't know what this is going to be a guide for. What I really, in my hope of what this is it's more of what we're looking for feedback. Like because again, the one thing when I've talked to people in Discords, when I've gone into the many communities that I've gone into to talk to people, there's been a lot of people that have not tested an alpha game before. So they are a completely green and novice when it comes to, okay, people keep saying this is going to be a testing phase and we're here to test, but I've never tested a game. Like, what do I do? Like, how do I test a game? And so I really hope this is like a guide to testing. Like, I really hope they're at least shine some light on people that are about to test a thing and they've never ever tested like a game before. So hopefully that is what this particular thing is. We'll have to wait and see. Continued accountability is a great motivator coming from someone who has joined and quit a healthy journey. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has been that way, right? I mean, most people, you know, like, I mean, there's like that whole thing at the beginning of the year, right? In January, where people are like, oh, I'm going to get healthy, right? It's like their, what is it called? The New Year's resolution. And you have all these people coming into the gym in January. And then by February, everyone's kind of like, whatever, you know, like it is what it is. Right. But like, I do need to, that's why I don't want to go hard personally, because you have to add small changes and not just go this cold turkey approach of like, I'm going to go run a mile every day, or I'm going to go outside and do this. And because that stuff is going to make you fail more quickly. Right. And so I think the best way to do it is to have like small approaches throughout your day that you can easily maintain, and then just slowly build over time. Right. Because again, this isn't a race, right? Like, I'm not in a race to like lose weight or anything like that. I weigh like 165 pounds. So, but I want to be able to maintain a healthy lifestyle, and how to do that is slow incorporations of being active, you know, doing stuff. Need to watch my Asmongold health video, dude. Burns, yes, I absolutely do. Wait, I thought I did watch it. I really thought I did watch it. Time to do some exercise myself, walking outside to do my laundry in the 100-degree weather. Time to sweat off a baby weight. Yeah. Well, let's get into this video finally that I can watch, because I am streaming and you guys are here with me. So let's with 80% of dungeon content being raise the volume up.
In the open world, will dungeons be a Zerg and or gank fest?
What is to stop a single guild from saying, we want all the resources, we're going to control this dungeon?
I've always geared more towards liking instance content.
The loot is not going to be based off of the amount of people in the group that get the boss down.
People start figuring out the metas of things.
As you advance through the area, less and less people will be able to get in specific areas.
You know, you're probably not going to like my answer to that, is that
with 80% of dungeon content being in the open world, will dungeons be a Zerg and or gank fest?
I think it depends on how long that dungeon's been around, I think.
Yeah,
think about how any kind of new content shows up, and the way that Ashes is going to be doing with their content. You know, oh, we just leveled this node up to 3, new dungeon opened up. That dungeon might be the only one on the server.
Right. It'll be the hotspot.
It's going to have every single player wanting to run that dungeon. And, you know, a single dungeon, I'm pretty sure at this point in time, can't accommodate, you know, 8, 9, 10,000 players. So I think it will be a Zerg, you know. And it's funny that you asked that question, because I asked this question on Reddit many years ago and I got absolutely annihilated once. I said, what's to stop? Oh, dude, they beat me up. I said, what is to stop a single guild from saying, we want all the resources, we're going to control this dungeon and not let anybody in?
Well, in this, I've been beat up for the same kind of opinion, because I'll say something like, you know, what's to stop a guild that has a Discord of 5,000 people of orchestrating on their server, even though there's a cap of 300, you know, per guild, right? But then if they have, like, you know, the whole Asmongold example, right? They have Olympus 1 through 25. Like, if they're organized on Discord, there's nothing really to stop them in their server. Now, what will inevitably end up happening, right, is if they're so dominant, right? If they're so control of every aspect of everything on that server, then other guilds are just going to basically surrender and then either stop playing the game entirely or move their organization and guild to another server. because they're locked out. Like this guild is so dominant that they can't do anything. And even if they were to try to like create alliances with the other guilds there, maybe they can do something, maybe not. I don't know. But like, it's, to me, I feel like when it comes to the overall, like there's not going to be much that players are going to do against large entities. And I think, again, when I talked to Flanker about it, this was the same thing that also happened in Lineage 2. The only thing you could hope for is the just utter imploded demise of their guild, right? Because most big guilds end up inevitably having any kind of guild drama that allows them to like break off, and, the guild just gets smaller and smaller because, the leadership at the top can't hold this big band of people together, right? Like that's inevitably what ends up happening. Mag, dude, what's going on? Happy to see you, man.
And everyone was like, oh, the corruption will stop them. I'm like, what if they're 300 people strong and you're 10? Oh, we'll get the whole server to Zerg against them. That doesn't mean that everyone's going to say, okay, let's just go to this one dungeon and you're going to get the whole server. Like, of course, there's like the whole ganging up and alliances and all this stuff. But what if one guild on the server for just a moment wants to control an entire dungeon and stop anybody from going in there because they want the resources? They could have 10 people inside the dungeon collecting everything, and 270, 280 people outside defending. There's no amount of corruption in the world that's going to push those guys out in any kind of a hurry. And all the little 1Z, 2Z, 3Z groups that are trying to get in there and farm, they're not going to be able to do it. So I think it depends on the dungeon. It depends on how long it's been around. If it's already, if it's a low-level dungeon and everybody's already moved past it, ganking and zerging probably won't be as relevant. But early on, when that is the content that we have, you can absolutely look forward to that, and there's no way to stop it.
So with 80% of dungeon,
I mean, I will say this, like that also, if you are a smart guild leader, if you know that there's a very effective and very powerful guild trying to lock down a dungeon, then it lets you know if all of their people are at that dungeon, they're not anywhere else. So we can go do a caravan run right now. And we know there's a couple of other guilds that we might be able to encounter, but they is nowhere near as organized or as powerful as the one that's locking down that dungeon. That's powerful information, right? So even though your guild may want to do that dungeon, you can actually do a very lucrative thing in the game and do it quite easily because that other guild is completely distracted doing something else. Like that's also another aspect of what you have to do, right? So instead of thinking it as 2 steps backwards, you can think of it as 3 steps forward towards another thing in the game.
content being in the open world, will dungeons be a Zerg and or gank fest?
See, I don't think so, because we've heard in previous dev streams that they are going to discourage Zerg behavior, that there's a time and a place for those sorts of things, which is nice for the people that enjoy that kind of content. But
how do you I mean, I can say like, well, I discourage my player base to don't do this thing. But if it's fun, like Zergs the reason why Zergs always happen is because it's fun to get all of your people together and go do something. This is why, like, getting jumped by 6 people, in versus 1, right, always happens, right? Because that's just what you want to do. Now, you can discourage it by now allowing like the fast travel mechanics, right? But people will still do it, right? Like I think you can try to discourage or poo-poo the idea as much as you want, but I think the fact of the matter is that Zergs are inevitably going to be a thing in Ashes. Like that's just not going to stop anything. Players will just go to a different node to run content they want. Well, that's exactly right. Like you have to be able to understand that if these areas are as big as they are, which they are huge, that you'll then know, okay, well, if this guild wants to run this part of the area or this region or biome and lock it down this way, fine. Like if you want to succeed and let them have it, cool. Then you can go somewhere else to like where there's a less organized guild, or, maybe you want to make an alliance with somewhere else and maybe come at them later. That's also fine too. But I'm just saying that, from the people that have played the PvP games, like Lineage 2 and Arcage, like Zergs are just an inevitability. Like it's just going to happen, even without fast travel. Will they happen as much? Maybe, maybe not. But they still happen.
I'm sure you will see it in some dungeons. here and there, and
Yes, Thresher, exactly.
you know, wherever else that there will be some people trying to Zerg it, but ultimately the people who choose to do that, they're going to hurt themselves because it's not going to be, the loot is not going to be based off of the amount of people in the group that get the boss down. It's going to be yes, it's going to be the same amount no matter what. So you're less likely to get loot if you're Zerging than if you are more strategical with it, which I guess what that comes down to is maybe a larger guild might take advantage of that if they have a bit of a operation for.
Dude, Phantom, man, what's going on, brother? Keep up the good work, brother. Dude, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you being here. I was talking to my boy Phantom earlier, just seeing how he was doing. It's good to see him back. I know a lot of us Ashes creators have been kind of laying low. I've been laying low because I've just been laying in my bed. Like I've been not feeling well. But I've seen, not a lot of people making Ashes content right now. A lot of content creators, like I've talked to them on Discord, a lot of them are just kind of laying low for next month. I'm basically going to be making content, of course. I'm having a lot of ideas, a lot of things I want to do in October. MMO Sky, what's going on, dude? Happy to see you. Let me see. Cool. Any date set? Any date set on what? Like, what are you referring to? If you're talking to Alpha 2, Alpha 2 comes out October 25th. So exciting stuff. One more month.
How they're going to distribute their loot among their officers. They might try to come in and Zerg out a smaller group taking down a boss, but I don't think that's going to be the norm.
Right. Like when Steven in that AMA was talking about stuff with, hey, if you bring 1 million guys, there is less risk, but there's also less risk.
Oh, for the live stream. Yes, next Friday, the 27th. Sorry about that. And I've talked this whole gear argument. I've talked to people about that. And because people, the whole Zerg is like, well, Zergs aren't going to be effective because there's only so much gear to basically go around. And I've talked to the people that, would want to still be a part of the Zerg because they want their guild to be dominant. Like, I don't really think at the end of the day, not saying gear doesn't matter at all, but if you know that your guild is dominating, that is more important ultimately than you getting the gear, right? Now, would you like to have both? Absolutely. But it always comes down to your guild and you ultimately knowing that I'm in this, I'm the 30th person down the totem pole to get the next piece of really good gear, right? And if you're okay with that, then you're still going to go on those Zergs, right? Like I like I said, I think people still dismiss the fact of people still willing to go on these Zerg fests, even maybe not getting gear for quite some time.
Reward that. I mean, all about risk reward. And I loved Jamie's
Right.
comment.
There will always be limited loot
so
regardless.
I know.
Yes, there will be.
Jamie had to change his pants afterwards.
Yeah.
So if you're going to reduce risk, you must reduce reward.
That's so good.
I don't think so at first. So I think the way Ashes is designed, nodes are going to pop up sporadically, introducing new content. People aren't going to know what that content is or which node's leveling up or what exactly it's unlocking at first. So I think with the open world aspect and the no fast travel, I think it's going to take people a while to figure out, oh, this dungeon opened up, we got to go over here. But I think as the game goes on and people start figuring out the metas of things, it's going to be like, okay, we know this node is about to level up. We're all going to go to this location because we want to farm this boss. And I think with that, you're going to see more of the Zerg rush in the large groups heading over to those areas to really farm them and fight with each other and turn into a gank fest.
So you're saying once things mature and people kind of understand, the dust settles, then people are going to be, yeah, okay.
I think some areas will be. I think it really depends on the zones. Like we've seen with the Tower of Carfin that they're going to have different areas. And my interpretation of what Steven said is some areas will be learn to play gated. And as you advance through the area, less and less people will be able to get in specific areas. For the starter zones for the dungeons, I do believe that to be the case. I think a lot of players starting out, they'll be not as experienced, wanting to run in groups, wanting to try and protect themselves, and because of that, they'll be targets to other groups of players wanting to kill those.
Well, real quick. Let's look at the map real quick. I should probably have an Ashes map. So I wanted to bring up the map real quick, right? Because I've said this many times, but when your guild, because every guild leader that I've talked to is going to centralize their guild in a biome, right? And we all know, like, the Riverlands, as an example, is a biome that is really huge, right? I hate the fact that I can't like scroll up and move it, but I mean, this biome is insanely huge, right? So if your guild is in the Riverlands, right, and your guild particularly is in the bottom western part, right? Let's say right here. And then let's say the first week of launch or something like that, there is a dungeon that inevitably ends up opening on your server that is up here in the Dunskill Mountains. Now, because your whole operation is right here, is it going to be advantageous for your guild to fully trek all the way through these other biomes where potentially there could be multiple guilds central here, multiple guilds central here, multiple guilds central here, multiple guilds central here, to go and farm this one dungeon? Maybe, maybe not. Now, the other fact remains too, is that there's going to be potentially probably over 40 something nodes just in this particular continent. Now, with all of them, if every guild, is pretty spread out, right? Inevitably, right? Like, once everything gets spread out, I don't think there's going to be, oh, this is the only dungeon on the entire server to happen. I think there's going to be multiple things that are end up happening per your region, right? So like maybe in this particular area, you'll have like a world boss, this particular area, you'll have like a dungeon or, something else. And then over here, they'll have like, world boss, dungeon, other stuff that they'll be doing, right? So I doubt in my mind that the first week, or like the first to second week, there's only going to be one dungeon that you're going to have, right? I think we're all still very naive to the fact of like how things are going to work because we truly haven't seen them yet, right? Not until we get in the game and really do it ourselves. But with 85 nodes, potentially 8 to 10,000 concurrent players spread out everywhere on both sides of the continent, I think there's going to be content rapidly being discovered and unveiled by the node system. So I think being central to where you are is probably going to push your guild to see what is, like, if we're centralized here, right? And through intel or through just word of mouth that a dungeon opened up in the very northern part of the Dunskill Mountains, I, as a guild leader, would be more motivated to see, well, what is in the June Dark? What is in the Sandsquall Desert? What is here in the Riverlands that we haven't done yet to uncover, right? Instead of us trekking through various biomes where, 30 something or, whatever, how many guilds are also through these areas. So again, it's all about strategy, right? You got to be very strategic. And this is why talking and being in a guild right now with a guild leader that knows these kinds of things, right? That isn't just going to be so, very emotional and be like, oh my God, a dungeon popped up. We got to go there. We got to do stuff now because our guild has to be the first one to do it. Right. It's like, well, why don't you try to like get to see what's still needs to be uncovered in your own area. Right. And that's what I'm thinking, that's my mode of thinking. I think that is a mistake. It should be set up at borders of biomes to allow access to more materials. I think we will get 1 to 2 dungeons per biome when things all equal out. Potentially. Potentially. It just comes down to, what is a dungeon going to provide to a guild materials wise? Because if it's not really that advantageous, then it's like, okay, like we would rather farm or do these other things. And I think that's ultimately what I'm hoping for from Ashes of Creation, is the fact that, in other MMOs, when you're going through the vertical progression of things, you start to realize what is the most important and what doesn't matter at all anymore. And once you've reached a certain level, like once you reach like max level, all of these things below are completely irrelevant. I don't ever need to do them ever again. But these small little things here, now that I'm max level, are the only things that are relevant to me ever. That is the mold of what I want Ashes of Cretaceous to break. Because there needs to be more activities for us to do that still adds value to our guild, right? To our gameplay. And the more we try to minimalize that stuff, that is going to definitely make people trek. Like if dungeons are so lucrative compared to everything else, then it would be advantageous for your guild to go all the way up here and zerg or, you know, struggle bust your way through all these other people that are going to try to get here because dungeons are the most lucrative thing, you know, when it comes to content. That is the thing that I hope isn't truly the case, right? There should be a plethora of other things that are going to be like in your native biome, in your native area, that are just as lucrative, right? So let me see. It has to be advantageous. PvE needs to have its cycle to play. No, absolutely. But I'm talking about more of just like, you know, on the overall spectrum of things. Like I'm not trying to discount PvE at all. I mean, you're literally talking to someone who PvEs like in most of my MMOs. In World of Warcraft, I do Mythic Pluses, dungeons, raids. Like that's my bread and butter. But what I'm talking about more so is having, through the node system of things being opened up, you need to have things that at least allow for the guild leaders and the people, the officers, to scope out that there are so many things for us to do that are equally as lucrative, right? Like that's my point. Like as in most MMOs, there's not really anything else lucrative but this one thing. So that forces the entire player base to do just that one thing because everything else is irrelevant. And I hope through the node system and through other various systems that there is other things you can do that are just as lucrative as going to a dungeon as to like do a caravan run. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. Like, you know, just my opinion.
Those types of players.
Will that be you? Will you be killing those types of players?
I maybe sometimes I have a video.
Let me see, economic regions too. You want to bring items from other regions to your region where your region doesn't sell particular item because it doesn't drop there. No, absolutely. And that's what I'm mostly talking about, right? Is the various layers of gameplay that MMORPGs often provide, but through development, like the way the company has developed the game is, well, yeah, we've made all these other systems, but truly if you're over, like if you're wanting gear and power level, most of these systems are relevant to you. If you want that, then you just do these two activities. That's it. These two activities are going to give you gear and power level. And that's what I'm trying to avoid from Ashes of Creation personally. Like I want there to be like other things that also give you like, you know, power level, gear, but it doesn't always have to come from these things, right? It can come from a plethora of other things that are also potentially available to you.
Video coming out this week, the shameless plug, where I'm talking about you know, the land rush style scenario, and as I'm looking through like what the node system is, I think people that are really progressing their node and working towards it, trying to advance it and not getting vassaled, are going to be, they're going to have so much time spent doing that there won't be too much time for ganking. And that's obviously not everybody, of course. It just, I think a lot of people will be doing that instead.
Over my history of MMOs, I've always geared more towards liking instance content. I feel like it's a lot more controlled and balanced, and all the open world content that I've engaged with over time has gotten quite boring for myself due to the chaotic nature and that kind of taking away that, you know, that the importance of teamwork, etc. Things just kind of blow up out of control. So I feel I'm kind of worried about the open world content, and I think that it might be a Zerg and a gank fest, but I'm also really interested in seeing how Intrepid handles it because I believe in their vision and I'm excited to try it out. But in a perfect world, I would like that, you know, the ratio being more like 50-50, I guess you could say, with the open world and the instance content.
Dude, I'm wondering if we'll be able to, you know, if let's say this part of this dungeon is instanced, and that's the part, like, you can kind of tailor your experience. So I wonder if in effect you could have 50-50, but you're just choosing the instanced dungeons or the instanced portions of dungeons.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting idea to think about. Yeah, I guess my final answer to that question would be I'm leaning towards yes right now, just because of my bad experience with open world content. But I'm open to seeing what Intrepid's capable of producing here.
What have you played in the past that was open world, dungeon, raid?
Well, the main MMO that I played was World of Warcraft, and I don't even remember that much open world content. But after that, I played Warhammer Online.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that, but there was a lot of open world content in that game from what I remember, and I just remember it being way too chaotic and out of control to where it's really cool, but it gets old pretty fast.
You know, you're probably not going to like my answer to that, is that I actually don't know. So I was thinking about this lately. Obviously, it's going to come down to the corruption system and stuff like that, whether or not people will want to kill people at these events. As for, like, Zerg, that may be like a PvE answer where the amount of loot that drops depends on the number of people that are there. I believe that that's going to be a finite amount. But for the ganking, no, I don't 100% know how this is going to work. Obviously, we don't 100% understand how the corruption system is going to work. But, like, if there's a group of you, like, there's 5 of you, right, on a boss, and there's 10 other people who come along and they want to kill that boss as well, well, they have to make a decision. Do they kill you and then kill the boss? Or do they just kill the boss with you and maybe take the reduced loot? So I don't know. And that is going to be one of my answers a lot of the time, I think, because with Ashes of Creation, I think there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of parts of the puzzle that all have to work nicely to decide the gameplay. And until we see those systems in action, until they're tweaked, the reality is we won't know, I think. But it is a concern of mine that, you know, maybe a normal person who's not maybe an Ashes of Creation fanboy or girl, they'll not want to be ganked that readily and that easily. So if the corruption isn't turned high enough and they'll just feel like they are going to get killed all the time, then will they play the game? I, again, don't know. But then the problem with that is, if you do have the corruption turned so high that nobody will kill anybody, then what's the point in having the PvP even being enabled? So,
right.
Truly, I don't know. As I said, there's just so many.
There's a lot of fine lines that Intrepid's gonna have to walk, and I think, again, when you talk to a PvPer, they want the corruption to not be so penalizing, but then if you talk to a PvEer, they want the corruption to be very penalizing. So this is one of the questions that I have for Steven is when regarding feedback is, you know, basically what systems are going to basically remain untouched due to feedback. Like, no matter what feedback you get, no matter how many people, like hundreds of thousands of people, say to change this thing, will that system just never change? You know, even though you got an incredible amount of feedback that the system needs to change. Like, I really hope Steven provides a list of systems that will never change due to anyone's feedback, that these will remain permanent, unchanged and unfazed. Because I think there's going to be a lot of people that don't know what Ashes of Creation is trying to do as an MMORPG. So they're going to think of whatever their MMORPG is, whether it's like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, ESO, BDO, New World, insert MMO here, and try to manipulate and change it to fit their MMO nostalgia, right? That fits them as a player. Because I think there's going to be a lot of people that, again, you know, even hearing these content creators right here, right? You hear Wolfheart saying, like, I don't really know about open world because open world always felt very chaotic. You have, you know, even Jay right here basically saying, like, you know, I don't really know how the whole open world is going to basically react, because either you're going to have people trying to kill the boss first, or maybe, you know, not trying to kill them because the corruption is too high, or, you know, this is why I've always said that the Alpha 2 is going to take a while, because there's so many things that we as players have to take in consideration. And most of us are trying to take a stance based off of like our favorite MMO game. and saying, oh, well, it worked in this other MMO, so Ashes should do it or whatever. The thing is that like Ashes of Creation is Ashes of Creation. Does Ashes of Creation have like inspiration from other MMOs? Absolutely. But at the same time, you know, it's this. I think the best analogy or the best thing I can tell players is the same thing of when people asked for no changes in World of Warcraft Classic. Because when Classic was coming out, everyone was so adamant about no changes. Like, absolutely no changes. And then once they got at World of Warcraft with no changes, those same players then started to turn and be like, well, maybe some changes. And I think that's what anybody in this chat, I want them to have that open mind. Is that the things that you think right now without playing the game that you're so sure and dead set on, you might have your mind change once you actually start playing the game. So don't be so obtuse in your thinking or be so narrow-minded that the way you're almost fantasizing about a certain system is going to be so amazing if it stays that way. But again, once you actually start playing it in reality, it ain't so much fun. My whole thing is that I just want to know, is it even worth giving feedback on certain systems? Because will those systems even change? Like, I don't want to write like a 3 or 5 page, feedback report on a system that basically just gets thrown into the bin. Like, I think that to me is like something I don't want. This is, again, a question I want to ask Steven, because I would rather have us as testers, our feedback more centralized into the things that can change rather than the things that won't ever change. Let me see. And they know it's a challenge to find that, and we will see their progress on that aspect. I just want to see a rogue showcase. I think we'll get the rogue showcase by the end of the year. Like, basically probably sometime in either October or November, I think we will have the rogue showcase. Let me see. I think that is the problem with gamers in general. They are so narrow-minded to the point that they actually believe that it will that will be the case in their heads. I'm not sure I was a classic purist, and that is why I enjoyed classic in relation to my experience with vanilla. I am, however, okay with SOG because it's designed to iterate on the core game. Well, and again, I was there when the whole no changes thing started to happen. And then after like a couple of the phases, there were then people that were like, yeah, well, maybe we should have some changes. And so all I'm saying is just don't be so rigid. Like, because again, when you start to get what you think you want and then you actually get it and you realize, this actually isn't what I want, right? Like, just be open. Like, that's basically all I'm saying. I think the node system can change, but the node system won't go away. Yeah, no, for sure. I think the node system is I don't think systems will be basically like tossed out completely. But like I was watching the video that Loreforge put out about combat pets. There's a lot of people that have very stark opinions about combat pets in general. There's some people that don't want them in the game at all. There's some people like Loreforge that really love combat pets. But I think combat pets, to me, the one thing that I am more worried about is performance. Not performance in the sense of DPS, but performance in the sense of if everybody has a combat pet out and you have these huge open world, like there could be 100 people on your screen. Well, now there's 200 items because everybody has a combat pet. Like, so that's what I'm more worried about with combat pets is the performance side of things. Maybe Intrepid could fix that. Maybe Intrepid could explain how that will be more minimalized. I don't know, but we shall see. Core systems can be iterative, but never will they go away or change so drastically to the point that it damages the core design of the game. Well, of course, like I know that, you know that, but there's going to be a lot of general MMO RPG enjoyers that are going to start watching Ashes content that do not know that. And that's my point. This stuff needs to be addressed by Intrepid. Like, if they truly believe in these core pillars and these things that will never change, then you need to be very forefront to a large amount of players that are about to go and look at your game, probably for the first time. And shockingly, there are still a lot of people that have never even watched the Lazy Peon video of Ashes of Creation. there are people. So, and even the people that did watch the Lazy Peon video still think that some of those systems can change or go away completely. Like, I've talked to them. So,
many moving pieces that I can't really give a definitive answer on that. The 80% content, I mean, personally, I'm a theme park Andy. I think whilst I do like the social elements in the open world and stuff like that, the reason I say a theme park is I like instance content simply because it can control the difficulty a little bit more easily.
Sure.
And the numbers as well, right? So in PvP, you know a 20v20 is relatively fair. It'll come down to who's the better players, basically. You know the same with a 10v10 and 5v5. So for PvP, I like equalized numbers. I actually occasionally like equalized gear, but let's not start that argument. And when it comes to PvE, again, like if the bosses are scaling to the number of people, then that can, like, make the challenge reasonable and set. But if there's too many people, it can be overrun, then it reduces the difficulty. And I don't really fully understand what Intrepid and Steven are thinking there, but I'm sure there's a plan. I just don't know it, and we'll see if it works.
Yeah, bro, you're speaking my language with the controlled equal number PvP, especially.
Hello, Vlad. Long time no see, dude. Rockta, dude. How are you doing, man? It's been a trek, dude. I still feel unwell. I feel better today. That's why I'm streaming right now. I just want to watch this video. And then I still got to work on my Steven questions, but my head is not feeling good right now. I just want to lay down. I just hope as a QLL that I can turn off cosmetics or disable cosmetic pets, etc. Well, the thing is that the cosmetic pets and combat pets, I don't know if they're one and the same or if they're two separate things, because there are going to be combat pets that actually can help you tank, heal, or DPS. Now, from what the wiki says is that you'll have to sacrifice something that could be either a portion of your DPS, a portion of your health, a portion of your mana. We don't know. But the wiki does say you as a player will sacrifice something in order to call out that pet. I don't know if there's going to be something in the UI to basically remove that, but I don't think so, because if they're being able to heal, tank, and DPS for you, you should be able to kill them just like you would their mount. This is why I'm just very worried about the whole combat system or the combat pet system, because I think they need to be on the screen for you to see, like in that regard. You know what I mean?
Because so node sieges, from what we know, are going to be wide open, which kind of creates a voting by fighting mechanism, right? The majority of the server wants a node to go down. They can all join in. I'm kind of okay with that. But the castle sieges, there has to be a carrot on the end of the stick for the highest level players to have a controlled 250 versus 250. If anyone and their dog can show up, then it's just going to be a numbers game. Your strategy won't matter. Your gear won't matter. It's just how many people can you recruit.
Yep.
Yeah, and I personally hate that. I don't mind it occasionally. I think
I think honestly that's what it's really going to end up being, like in your region. And I think, like I said, depending on what biome your guild is really going to centralize in, it always will end up being a numbers game depending on what you're doing. If you are running a caravan run, like, and you brought like 40 people there, but then there's like a PvP guild that's just going around knocking off caravans. Like if they have 80 people there, well, it's a numbers game at the end of the day. Like it's 80 versus 40, So I think depending on the kind of content you're going to be trying to do, it's always going to feel like, well, damn, we only lost because they had a whole bunch of people. So then you have to regroup or call more of your guild and be like, hey guys, like, there's like 80 people coming your way and we only have 40, like, and then your 40 is coming, out to help you guys, and you got there late, and now it's another 40 versus 80 because they completely killed it. Like, I don't know. I think in some degrees it is always going to be kind of a numbers game.
Voting with player power, if that makes sense, can work, like, to show whose node is the most popular, who wants to fight for that. That can make sense. And then, if you don't have the numbers, you put your tail between your legs and you go to a smaller node and hope people won't bother you or something like that. I think that can definitely happen. But if you're looking for fairness and equality and skill to sort of rise to the top, and even your gearing sometimes, then I think equalized numbers sort of make sense. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, well, that's not
even
what
have the
Ashes
chat
of
box
Creation is.
open.
It's an open world game, and
Sure.
80% of the content's going to be open world. And I'm like, yeah, typically I like theme park MMOs because you can have your cake and eat it. You get different slices of the game, give the player different types of enjoyment, basically. So, for an example, in Throne of Liberty recently, they introduced an arena, but the arenas aren't equalized gear, which then basically means the people who have the best gear are winning, and it's not really any kind of skill expression. But I think in a game like that, an equalized 3v3 arena is a perfect thing to add, even if the rest of the game then shows off all of your gear, all of your coordination and stuff like that.
Sure.
Let people have little bits, but let them also enjoy the rest of it if they choose. Like,
I agree with Jay. Like if I was in designing the arena for Ashes of Creation, any unrated arena match will be with you with whoever has the most powerful gear will win. If that's what you want to do, fine. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to be equalized gear at all. But when it comes to rated arena matches, everybody has the same gear. There's no differentiation. It is literally all off of skill at that point. That's what I would do. Because gear ultimately should not matter in a rated arena match. Your skill as a player is the only thing that matters. That's just my opinion. I know maybe other PvPers may disagree with that fact, but that's how I think it should be. And again, it's not like that in World of Warcraft, but in my opinion, it should.
I just feel like MMOs have sort of lost that idea that they can be for everybody, even if Ashes of Creation isn't.
And when there's something for everyone, that people can find their niches. And while Ashes of Creation has their design pillars, they still are doing, I mean, there's something for everyone approach, right? With the combat, where it's hybrid. Action combat Andes, myself, I think you, right?
Yeah, I
Right?
call myself an action combat Andy for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So we can play melee weapons and we can have the skill shot abilities. We can pick all of those and we can play an action game. On the other hand, if you want to be tabbed, then hey, you go ranged combat and all tab target abilities. So Ashes does do a lot of there's something for everyone. And I hope they do that a little bit with the PvP as well. And PvE, I mean, I think the 20% of dungeon content being instanced, I think that will satisfy a large group of people. It'll just be interesting to see how they pull it off.
Yeah, for sure. And I just to clarify, I don't think you shouldn't design a game for everybody in the world. Obviously, that's
Right,
not practical. Yeah. Okay, but you know, I do think you can maybe expand it a little bit, and it doesn't have to be this hardcore niche of PvPs who want to gank everybody. Like, I don't necessarily know. I don't think that's the target audience either, right?
I was gonna say, and this is if Burns is still there or not. You should use an NVIDIA broadcast, Burns, because like I hear a fan in the background with your audio, and if you use an NVIDIA, what is it called? Yeah, it's NVIDIA broadcast. You can get the noise removal, and it completely like makes all of the background stuff go away. So that way you don't hear like the fan and all that. Because when you hear Jay talk right now, it's just his voice. Like you don't hear anything else but his voice. But when Burns talks, it's the background. So I would just say like you don't need to change anything with your mic settings. Just download NVIDIA broadcast, and hopefully that helps.
I think they are planning something that is a bit more for everybody and not just, you know, a small segment of an MMO. It's an MMO that's complete, and it's a type of MMO that's complete with a lot of different activities that the players can enjoy. And, you know, hopefully that works in PvP. Hopefully that works in PvE. I mean, I know there is going to be arenas and battlegrounds in PvP. Yeah. Hopefully that'll be.
See, I'm not a fan of normalized gear. One of the things I really loved in older WoW versions was where I could wear huge stamina gear on Rogue and out of health Warrior. But in things like Star Wars Galaxies, my huge stamina set turned into like 2% stamina increase, which was like an auto attack at best. I thought it was an NVIDIA RTX voice. Didn't they add another software suite? Might have not looked into it. I think it was, well, I have an NVIDIA broadcast and I think it has the removal in there. But again, if you're out in the open world, right, doing PvP, I'm not saying there should be normalized gear in open world, like PvP, right? I think if you have really good PvP gear, you know, go ahead, do. But what I'm personally talking about and referring to is the rated arenas. Like, arenas are instanced, right? And I think if you're going to do something rated where there's a leaderboard, I wouldn't want to make the thing of, oh, well, we only lost because they had better gear. I think what ultimately should just be the thing when it comes to the rated side is we lost because they were just a better team. Like I said, like, again, you can have non-rated arena where you can have your own gear. It's not normalized at all. And you can go and have fun just doing arena like that. Like, I think giving both sides, but I think the bigger rewards, the more sought after thing is doing rated, right? Everyone always wants to do the rated stuff.
Enough to satisfy a lot of the PvPers. I sort of call myself a casual theme park PvPer because that's mostly actually what I like doing, but I do like PvE as well. And my only concern with the 20% when it comes to PvE is simply is that what is it going to be very high challenge? Is it going to be casual content? Is it going to be repeatable content?
Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for scenes from next episode.
And that's going to definitely be a question that I'm going to ask Steven. What is the 20% instance content that you're referring to?
What size guild do you plan to be in or have? And then what advantages or disadvantages do you anticipate from that?
What I don't want is pressure from the guild that makes me feel like I have to play it all the time.
Numbers crush everything.
And having people actually answer that call is really important.
It's whatever the smallest amount to get away with possible while also being effective in everything I want to do.
But I'm going to be looking for probably like...
Great video. I love the bespoke, man. It's so good. Oh, and guys, if you haven't, I know you guys have, but to make sure you just gave it a like. You know, sometimes I watch a video and I didn't hit the like button. Just do that for me at least. And for my boy Burns. He deserves it with this series. But yeah, that's definitely a question I'm be asking Steven is when it comes to the 20% instanced PvE content, how much of that will be repeatable? Because that's the thing that I've always let me see, numbers crush everything, Eagles dead game on arrival. Well, I feel like I don't know, that was very much out of context. I don't know what they were really talking about, but I mean, basically, again, if he's referring to numbers crush everything, the Zerg, you know, like if you bring 80 people and you brought 40, I'd bet more money that the 80 is probably going to win. Like, even if the 40 have better players. I don't know. And especially when I saw a person basically get one shot. Do we not remember when there was like 5 Rangers that just targeted one person with the snipe ability and that guy just got deleted? That's literally what we're talking about. You know, like this isn't going to be a game where you can survive like a lot of that punishment, you know? Oh yeah, that makes sense. Thought he was referring to stats. Oh yeah, no, like I said, it was out of context completely. That's what I think he was referring to, but I mean, I could be wrong too. The last note we have from Steven on repeatable instance content from 2021. Instances not intended to be places that can be farmed repeatedly. See, and that to me is a huge mistake. Like if you're going to make an instance just to tell a part of the story, what a waste in my eyes. Like, what a waste. Because I'm not saying that you shouldn't like do that. Of course, if you want to tell a part of the story that you want it to be in a very safe space that no one's gonna be able to interrupt you, that's going to tell a very huge story beat, fine, make it instance. But all I'm saying is that I think when it comes to instance content, there should be certain things that should actually be repeatable. things that you can actually do. Not saying that you should be able to get gear from it. Like you don't, and again, this is where I think developers always think, well, if we're going to do some kind of, dungeon they can farm repeatedly, we got to put gear in there. Not necessarily. Like you can put other rewards than just gear. Like again, put very cool cosmetics in there. Like I would be down. Like I'm a huge, I think anybody coming that plays an MMO today are huge transmog people. Like I love having and farming character sets, or cosmetic sets, weapon types, like for my character. Like, dude, I would run a dungeon just getting cosmetics. I mean, that's what I freaking do in WoW. Like I'll go back doing old stuff just to get cosmetics of certain item looks. I'm not looking for gear, and I think that's definitely going to be something that I think Intrepid should do. Housing items, exactly. I mean, there's plenty, like in my eyes, there's plenty of different things that Intrepid can reward players with that isn't just gear or gear materials, right? You can give them other things, right? If you truly want gear and recipes to be really in the open world, then do that. But you can still give like very good rewards to instance content players that like PvE stuff where they don't have to also face the fear of PvP, right? Let me see, that 5x ranger shot was on a target that was half dead too. Well, I don't think he was half dead. He had full health. Like no one was attacking the people because I literally remember them all walking, and then the guy just they all targeted him, and he just went from 100% to nothing. Let me see. I'd be totally down for instance dungeons that gave speedrun or undying cosmetic drops. That's exactly what I mean. Even achievements. Like, let's say like you can give like really cool like vanity rewards and even freaking character creator cosmetics, right? Like a special scar, think of like a fell scar, right? That you can put across your chest that has like a glow to it, right? Or even a glow like on your face. Like you can put that glow wherever, right? You can put it across your chest, you can put it on your cheek, you can put it across your eye. And it's like, but it has like that kind of like fell or corrupted red color, right? And you can be like, oh damn, where did you get that? Oh, I got it from running this dungeon, and you have to do this dungeon in a certain way, or, whatever the case is, right? To get that thing. And it's, like I said, there are plenty of things that you can give players, but I think ultimately from the PvEers that I've talked to, they're just afraid that there really isn't anything that they can do in Ashes of Creation that doesn't have some sort of a PvP thing attached, right? And so, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Let me see. They swapped from a full health, I thought, to a low health target. No, they literally just targeted someone that was closer. Let me see. I would like to have a minor crafting items drop in the instance that you can use while leveling up artisan skills. Yeah, like again, like you can have like low level material stuff in those instance stuff, right? So it's like, let's say if there's 5 tiers of materials, you can have like the tier 1 through 2, like in those dungeons, or even 1 through 3, right? Like it just, and to have the 3 be a little bit more rare of a drop rate, like that's totally fine. Like again, like, and I think you can still have the outdoor stuff be more lucrative in that regard. But if you're going to be running that dungeon, try to get a certain achievement, or you're trying to get a certain cosmetic or whatever the case is, then hey, you can get some stuff there while you're running it too. Like I don't know. I think certain people that I've talked to have been very gatekeepy when it comes to PvE content, because they're like, well, no, Vlad, that's not the design of Ashes of Creation. It's like, well, the design of Ashes of Creation is PVX. That's the term that we've heard over and over and over again, right? Where there is going to be PvP and PvP, or PvE and PvP. But not everything needs to have this combination or cross blend of both, right? There are things that can be completely separate into just, this is a PvP thing. Like, look at Arena, right? We were talking about Arena earlier. Are you going to have to do any kind of PvE simultaneously while you're PvPing someone? Probably not, right? Because in this specific system, we're just going to focus on PvP, right? That's all we're focusing on. We have two teams that they're going to match up together and do PvP. Best team wins. Well, why can't we have that for PvEers? Like, it's a simple question, really. I mean, it's nothing. I'm not trying to change the game or anything like that, but all I am saying is that if PvPers can have it, then why can't PvEers? So, let me see. No offense, but that crafting item drop parts starts getting a slippery slope there. I feel like that's going to be the obvious choice for the PvEers, just farming those mats. Well, and again, but if those tier 1 through 3 gatherables are pretty much in the open world, like very readily available, what's the problem? Like, if they are very common, right? Now, we're talking uncommon. We're talking rare, epic. Would we want those in repeatable dungeons? I would not. But to have like an uncommon be a little rare in that repeatable dungeon where it's just a bunch of commons and a bunch of commons and an uncommon, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Because again, they're at the very bottom rung of gatherables, right? So, I mean, again, you are right. It is a slippery slope because then people are going to want the more higher tier materials. But let me see. I don't like forcing crafters to have to PvE or PvP for materials. Well, and again, like I said, I think it's just given in the option. Like in this dungeon, there are gatherables you can get, but they're very like tier 1, tier 2. Maybe you'll get a tier 3, but it's kind of rare in this dungeon. But yeah, you can get those. Not saying you have to farm them, because the dungeon isn't meant for you to repeatedly go in there just to specifically farm those things. Like, there are things that you can get along the way from Trash mobs or even the dungeon bosses, but the focus is on those dungeons is these vanity items. Like, that's what you're trying to get there. Like, those are the things you're trying to get. As long as everything is tradable, then cool. Yeah, and again, I don't think you should put any kind of special restrictions on those gatherables. Let me see. I think they said 99.9 of everything will be tradable. Yeah, it's gonna be very few things that are gonna be actually soulbound to people's characters. So here's a couple, just so you guys can see. I've been finishing up. I think I was thinking about doing 75 questions, but I think I'm gonna do 50. I was looking at other interviews with Steven, and most people of them ask like maybe 25 questions. Like, I think when Yokai did his roundtable discussion with Steven, I think they asked 23 questions to Steven, and that was like an hour and a half interview. So I'm gonna see if I can, this is probably, I'm gonna do one more question and then I got to reorganize this, and then I'm gonna send it off to Margaret, and so she can look over all the questions and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I'm done. So like I have like, what has been the scariest part of making Ashes of Creation? Will we get to test every single zone before Alpha 2 ends? Will combat pets impact performance in regards to open world events, since everyone can have one? Most other gaming companies just suspend players for breaking TOS when buying third-party gold, exploit the game in some way knowingly, or bot farm endlessly. Will Intrepid take heavy-handed approach and permanently ban those offenders instead of just suspending them? And then when it comes to 20% instance content, how much of that will be repeatable? So I still have to get all these questions and organize them into categories. I want to have them like more organized. I don't want them to just be like going from one crazy subject to another. You should do a set of the 50 as a lightning round. Like, hey, I got some easy questions. Let's do 1 to 2 sentence answers and move on and close out. Cool. Yeah, I think if I can come up with some really quick like yes or no questions, I might do 60 questions, right? So I'll do like a lightning round, and then maybe do like some yes or no questions. But I'm just curious, like I'm trying to think of like what I would be able to ask that can constitute a yes or no to it. That is like a fun question, or maybe something that hasn't been asked. So Stephen already explicitly said no more lifetime subscription models are being offered. Oh yeah, well Vale's going to continually ask for that. He's been asking for that forever. Let me see Phantom. We got through 60 in 2 hours. Yeah. I'm glad I got mine. Yeah, I like I said, I mean, I can try to do 50 and then maybe 10 as like a lightning round. But I just want to try to have ours like as concise and, you know, just like I want to go in through like, okay, let's talk about feedback, and then here are all my questions on feedback. Okay, let's talk about quests or questing, and here's all my question on questing. Let's talk about, you know, the 64 class system, and here's all my questions on the 64 class system. That way it's just easier for me when I do my YouTube video, and then I can segment off all the categories, and then I can do it that way. So it's just easier for people to be like, oh, like this is the, like if I'm just interested in like questions on economy, then this is all the questions on economy. I'm trying to think about it in that regard, because I feel like if I put all the questions, if I put up all the questions just randomly, it's gonna be really difficult for me to go through and just timestamp them all, you know what I mean? So that's kind of like what I'm feeling. Well, I want to say, let me see before I get off. I'm sorry. I know this is a very short stream, but so for the month of October, so of course I'm going to be streaming, hopefully I should hopefully, by next week, I should feel like 100% myself. But for the month of October, I want to, you know, I have a couple of goals that I want to get to. And so, I mean, for people that know me, like I have my hat, stuff like that. I'm going to probably do some giveaways with like giving some hats to people for my stream. I'm also going to have a goal of, I think, what am I at right now? I'm at 687 when it comes to my follower count. If we hit 1,000 followers on Twitch, I will shave my head on stream. I will shave my head. I have curly hair, but if we hit 1,000 followers, I will shave my head. Let me see. Ever get anywhere with the Vlhadus Red Cups? So I did call a company. The only thing is that I don't know if I were to do the Red Cups, it would be a whole other website that I have to create. And that's the only issue, is that I don't, like, cause I have a store and I would like to just add the Red Cups to the store, but the store has to be able to do the Red Cups. So I guess I'm still kind of figuring it all out, you know. We'll see. But I can do it. It would just have to be like, oh, if you want these Red Cups that I have, then click on this other store that I have. Like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of stupid. So, but I'm still trying. Here, I'll help you with one, but not to shave your head. Thank you so much, Incognito. I appreciate that. No, yeah, I'm just like, because I know October is gonna be crazy. Alpha 2's coming out, stuff like that. So I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna be streaming a hell of a lot more. And so I do have a couple of goals, but I just wanted to tell you that's one of the goals. Like if we hit 1,000 followers on Twitch, I will shave all of my hair off. And believe my hair right now looks crazy. So no, I'm not gonna touch my beard. That's not gonna be a goal. Thogly, also, what is going on, dude? Happy to see you. Yeah, it's definitely not the beard. No, I'm not gonna shave my beard. Let me see. Just ask Steven, will the game come out before my unborn children are born? I'm actually surprised I'm not a follower. I've rectified the problem. No, it's okay, man. Thank you so much for the follow though. 3K Twitch subs for the beard. Dude. Dude, I look like a little boy if I shave off, because usually I'll do like I always have myself like in a permanent 5 o'clock shadow. But I can't imagine. I haven't shaved, like shaved in a long time, like probably years. So yeah, it would have to be a pretty immense goal. Like I would say, if I got to 1,000 subs by the end of October, by October 31st, if I have 1,000 subs on Twitch, I will also shave my beard and my mustache. I don't think that'll happen though. I don't think that'll happen. But yeah, we shall see. Yeah, I haven't shaved my beard since 2018, and I only shaved that for a live cast. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've done that. So let me see. I trimmed my 6-inch goatee during COVID. My 18-year-old daughter yelled at me to grow it back. She has never seen me without facial hair. Yeah. Starts to calculate how much 1,000 subs cost. Oh, dude, yeah, no, it's a lot. That's a huge goal. Like that would be like life-changing right there. But I do have I have like smaller I think more realistic sub goals, and that's what I'm mostly talking about, right? So I'm trying to finish, because I want more merch, so I want to be able to do more than just hats. I'm still coming up with concepts for like shirts, for hoodies and stuff like that, because now we're getting into fourth quarter, and I want to be able to like, raffle off some stuff, not raffle, but like do some giveaways to you guys, right? To the people that are always here supporting me and stuff like that. Like we're basically, once September 25th is coming, that we're counting down. Like we're in the end game, guys. Like this is it. Like we're a month away from actually playing Alpha 2 on stream. Isn't that wild? Like, just to say that out loud and to know that that's actually going to be happening. Like, we're going to be here in a queue for hours, and it's going to be great. Like, it's going to be great. So, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and take off. I want to go and chill. Let me see. Is my boy, is Toqueno, streaming right now? Is Q not streaming? He's not. He usually streams at 6. Well, damn. Okay. Is there anyone else streaming in the Ashes category right now? Oh, it's just me and that, Oh, that's a good question. When is merch coming? Like, that's actually a really good question. When is the merch store officially coming? There we go. I got it down. Just that AFK replay. Yeah, I know. Well, I believe Jamie is going to be streaming in 30 minutes. So guys, you don't have to wait too long, but he'll be streaming in 30 minutes. He's going to be with my boy Phantom X, Nice Gaming, and my boy Royer, and they're going to be talking about tank stuff. So, you know, just go take a break, go do some other stuff, and then you can always tune into Jamie's stream in 30 minutes, okay? Let me see how many people are going to be in an uproar when merch gets launched before the game. Like, I'm going to be excited. Dude, I've been wanting to buy Ash's merch forever. So, we shall see. But guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I will try to stream maybe sometime this weekend. I don't know. Like, I do want to stream, but it's just like I feel so like, ugh. And I want to make videos. Like, I should actually be trying to make my video right now, and I haven't even started. So, all right. You guys have a great Friday. Be safe. Make good decisions this weekend. And I will see you guys later. And before I go, make sure to always hit that follow button if you're watching on YouTube. Hit that heart if you're watching me on Twitch. And I'll see